Hey everyone, it's Tzayla, and welcome back to Off Key and On Pitch, your backstage pass to the unfiltered world of music. Today's guest is Orphan Prodigy, a multi-instrumentalist and songwriter from Queens, New York, who spent decades shaping his voice, transforming pain into power, and evolving the sound of rock for a new era. After years of fronting an alt-rock band, Ian Keller, now known as Orphan Prodigy, stepped away to study production and engineering, but the music pulled him right back in. His debut album, Medication for a Modern World, is the result of that journey, blending 90s and 2000s alternative rock with house, trance, and electronic elements. The result? A sound that's raw, explosive, and deeply reflective of the time we're living in. In this episode, we talk about mental health, musical healing, fusing genres, building a virtual fan base, and redefining what it means to be an indie artist in 2025. Whether you're struggling with rejection, fighting to evolve your sound, or just looking for proof that pain can serve a greater purpose, this one's for you. So let's dive in. Hey, Orphan Prodigy, welcome to the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course, I'm really excited for this conversation. So I always love to start these podcast episodes by asking my guests a little bit about their story. You know, how they got started in music and how they've come to the point where they are now.
Yeah, so I've been in this game for a long time. I started fairly early in my career. I started playing professionally when I was 12, so junior high school. And I had one band that pretty much toured, and we did 2 records for probably about, I would say, close to 20 years. And then I hit this point in my life in 2018, at the end of 2018, where I think everything kind of just caught up with me, and I entered an agoraphobic phase in my life, and which lasted about 6 months. I couldn't leave my apartment, and it was really bad. I entered a really intense therapy program, which basically it was called exposure therapy. And so the therapist would take me to really crowded places like the mall. And the idea was, you know, if you do this enough times, you'll kind of desensitize to those scenarios and circumstances. And yeah, after 6 months of that, I was feeling okay and, you know, ready enough to re-enter the world again. And I kind of rethought what I wanted to do in music, because, you know, music's all I knew really how to do. It's all I know how to do. But I felt like maybe I should take a step back behind the scenes and be on more of the producer side of things. And so I found a school called the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences in Arizona. I attended that, and within 3 weeks, I was being introduced to digital audio workstations like Pro Tools and Logic. And specifically with Logic, this was like the 3rd week I was there, I began writing again, because it's very much based around digital music, and it's very friendly for digital composers, which that's what I do, is I compose digitally all of my songs. And so Orphan Prodigy was kind of born out of that 3rd week in Arizona. And so the pandemic hit, I went full lockdown, came back to New York, and started working on songs. I had 34 songs ready to go for an album. And and here we are. Fast forward to 2025, April. That's when we released the record. And that's where we are today.
My goodness, that therapy is no joke. I'm so happy that you got help. That's amazing. And that you stayed with music.
Yeah, it was really, you know, I really kind of wasn't sure if I was going to be able to tour again, let alone, you know, leave the house and, you know, get groceries. It was really challenging. It was really kind of strange. It was a really strange experience, something I can't really explain. It was kind of like every time I would look at my door to go outside, it was like I'd get kind of like this intense sense of panic and, you know, stress. And since we released the album, we've been doing virtual touring. We've been doing in-person touring. We did a big show in Brooklyn, which you can find on YouTube, for the record release. That was really fun, stressful, but very fun. And we've been doing a lot of shows now, and back out there. I'm going to Walmart, and oops, can I say Walmart? Going grocery shopping, all the things that a adult would be expected to do. So,
Your album, it sounds amazing. 34 songs, you said?
Well, 34 songs in the catalog of Orphan Prodigy.
Okay.
I write 3 songs a day, or 3 pieces of music a day. That's what I aspire to do each day. But on the album, I think there's 14 or 16 songs, I think, depending how you look at it. So
That's a well-sized album right there. What inspired it?
Well, the album's called Medication for a Modern World. I think it's a concept that I kind of had for many years now. Started in college. I was just sitting in my dorm room, and it was kind of like this. I was, in college, you kind of start to expand your mind in various ways, and Medication for a Modern World was one of those expanding mind concepts, and so I brought it back, and I think it's appropriate for the times in 2025, just considering, just what's going on globally, nationally, just everywhere. I think in any part of life right now, I think it applies.
What's specifically, like, what are some of the songs in there about?
I think a lot of it is about mental health, and coming to terms with, like the song we're promoting right now. The single is Traitor, and all this time, it was the last song I actually did for this record, and it's an idea I've had for a while, but I wanted to kind of make it fit into the Orphan Prodigy style, and at face value, it kind of just seems like a typical breakup song, partner mad at partner, you betrayed me in that. But I think I'm adopted, and I've always struggled with rejection. And I think that for me, my interpretation of it is a little bit larger than just, some circumstantial thing. It's much more about rejection as a whole. So whether that's, in a relationship, in the workplace, in any circumstance where you can possibly be rejected, doing public speaking, whatever it is. So for me, I think rejection is a big part of that album, and coming to terms with it and being okay with it. The first song on the album, Getaway, track 2, it's kind of like the first line is, "I don't like your face." And that's me, I think, being, kind of confident enough to say something like that, and taking ownership of myself, right? And so a lot of it is the journey from start. I like to tell a story. I'm a terrible storyteller, like, verbally, but musically, I let the music do the storytelling for me. So that's the idea behind Medication for a Modern World as an album.
That's beautiful. And I totally understand what you mean. The storytelling, in real life is so much harder than through music. I am the same way. If you tell me to tell you about, like, my inner heart and all that stuff, it takes me a lot of time, and if I can even find the words. But the second you put it to music, it just flows so freely, and you can speak with more eloquence, I think, and it's poetic in a way.
Yeah.
But the mental health of people in the music industry is something I feel like more people need to talk about. And how healing music can be, not just for those listening to it, but those writing it. Like you said, your album helped you through your mental health things and helps you process things, and that's one thing I love about music, how you process that. And you can also feel those emotions when you listen to it. Yeah,
absolutely, 100%. I think there's a lot of, music is one of these things where for me, anything that can divide us, whether it's political beliefs or what, just, differences of opinion, I don't bring that into the music. I really just like to have the music be as vague as possible and open to interpretation. I don't want to feed the listener something that they need. I don't want to preach. I want them to take from it what they will and do their own form of healing, have their own healing. So whether that's, I'm so surprised, there are songs on the record that people tell me, like, that are kind of like deeper cuts, towards the end of the record. And, somebody will say to me, like, hey, like, this song is really great, really resonated with me. And I'm like, oh, wow, I really didn't, that's cool. That's awesome. Cause I really didn't think that one was, as big as some of the other songs or something, so it's really cool and interesting to hear, how certain songs have affected certain people and helped them kind of deal with things. Traitor is a big one. So
I love that. So you've mentioned that your music, your sound is bringing punk rock into the modern era. Do you mean that like lyric-wise or sound-wise or both?
I think as indie artists, we have like this responsibility to not just kind of like try to make it and have the most polished records. Of course, you know, having a great record and a polished record is important, but I think it's our responsibility to kind of push the envelope of what's possible. And the idea with Orphan Prodigy and Medication for a Modern World is, how do we move rock forward? Genre, not just punk rock, but like rock as a whole. I mean, I'm influenced by The Offspring, Nirvana, Weezer, Primus, Metallica, Rage Against the Machine, the Chili Peppers, you know, and the list goes on. But I think there is a point in time where we have to kind of reassess why things aren't moving forward, whether it's in any industry, whether it's in the gaming industry, whether it's in, you know, sports or music. And so for me, the important thing to do here was work with technology, not against it. It's not like if you can beat them, join them. It's more like let's take the piss out of it. You know, let's do it better than the machines, and let's keep it organic. And what's more organic than bringing rock and dance together and fusing those two things together? Because dance is very mechanical and rock is very not mechanical. So fusing, very raw, right? Mm-hmm. You could argue. So bringing those two together and having a successful marriage of the two was kind of the mission here.
And did you develop that song while you were, sound while you were in college?
Yeah, so when I was in Arizona, because of the way that I write music, I never sit down with like a guitar and start singing and, you know, write down like the journaling. You know, like I don't really do that. For me, I've always kind of sat in front of a laptop with a pair of headphones and just written digitally. So like digital compositions. So like I start with drums and I go to bass and synthesizers and then guitar, and then the lyrics don't come until the song's already composed. So musically, so yeah, it I think there was like an element of like, I'm already kind of in this world composing digitally, and so let's take it to the next level, you know, and use really, really cool sounds, and, you know, really try to, you know, make this as organic again as possible with the dance and the rock together.
Do you still do it digitally, or do you have a real band now?
So when we tour, and when we did the show in Brooklyn, and we did like a short run of shows just recently in person. Yeah, so there is a band. They're actually guys that we brought on board 2 years ago. As I was writing the record, we were also rehearsing our asses off. So like it was pretty stressful. You know, so I'm like blowing out my voice during rehearsal, and then trying to do like, you know, like the you know, record trader and stuff, and it was kind of nuts, but you know, I think we're pulling it off. So
How is the tour going?
It's good. You know, like I said, we do a lot of virtual stuff too, and that's kind of how Orphan Prodigy became. You know, that's how we started, which was just kind of like during the pandemic. We would do these live shows with just me and an acoustic guitar and backing tracks as I was working on the record, and then it evolved into a band situation, and we were just basically streaming the rehearsals and advertising them as shows, and people were like, "Oh, this is amazing!" And, you know, slowly we added lights and visuals and that kind of stuff on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff, Instagram Live, you know. So yeah, so the socials have been very important for us.
So your name is Orphan Prodigy. That's your stage name. Where did that name come from?
Yeah, so talk about rejection a lot. And when I was younger, my first band was called The Rejects, and I don't know, for some reason that really resonated with me. I always think that, you know, there's this quote, and I think it was maybe Kurt Cobain that said it. You know, grunge is the idea of taking or punk rock is the idea of taking something ugly and turning it into something beautiful. Maybe I'm paraphrasing, but that's the general idea. And I don't know, it's kind of like I think that's kind of the essence of what we're trying to do. You know, I think that's always been it.
So explain it one more time. So the essence is taking something painful and turning it into beautiful. So how did that translate into Orphan Prodigy, those specific words?
Right. The rejection piece, right? So I always felt like an outsider, but I embraced it. Like during school hours, I always felt like, yeah, like everyone hates me, even though they didn't. It was just this perception I had in my head. And after hours, I would, just go out and have fun with my friends, or they would come over and we'd jam, hang out, and play music or whatever. And I think the idea behind Orphan Prodigy was kind of trying to keep that same kind of tone of being a reject, but also putting a positive spin on it. So the prodigy piece, I don't consider myself a prodigy by any means. I guess you could argue I'm doing all the songwriting, but beyond that, I wanted Orphan to sort of substitute for reject. Of course, I understand they're not the same thing at all, but when you pair the two words together, it kind of paints it paints a picture for me, using two very kind of defined colors that I think speak to that language of positive and negative energy together to create something better. And so if not, totally solving the equation, it's still something better than before and moving forward in that way.
I can see that. Like Orphan sound, you stand alone, you're by yourself, and then Prodigy is sort of like a powerful thing and a confidence thing because you're so good and so talented, and so you stand alone, but you still embrace who you are and you go out into the world. I see that now. Yeah. Yeah,
I think you said it the best I've ever heard. So thanks for that. I think we're gonna have to use that in the marketing.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So you come like a full circle. You started touring when you were 14, you said. Then you learned music production, and now you're on tour again. What is it that you're going towards? Like, what is your big dream?
Yeah, to keep going. No signs of stopping here. I think in 2025, it's really important to just kind of use the content that you have and get the most out of it, get the most from it. My dream with this record is to have a piece of content, whether it's visual or something else. I don't know what. I originally wanted to do a music video for every track, but obviously that's incredibly expensive. So, and already Trader was the most expensive production we've ever done. So, yeah, I think it's really important to get all the songs across. It is a story. It's not. As a songwriter, I'm not interested in writing singles. Like, I'm not interested in like charting or whatever. But yet we are. Like, we're number 78 on the media-based charts right now.
Let's go.
We entered. Yeah, let's go.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so like I had no idea that was going to happen, and it kind of came out of the blue. We entered at like 120 something, and 3 weeks later, here we are at 78, sitting with some amazing talent, like people I grew up listening to, like rappers and singers and country people, like just all these different genres of just amazing talent. It's just like really, dude, like I'm here here we are. Yeah, so. It's kind of that. I guess going back to your original question was what's the end game here? I think it's just to keep pushing the album, keep just kind of getting people to listen to all the songs as a story, not just like Trader as a single, not just Getaway as a single, whatever. Yeah.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure people will. I can't wait to see what you come out with next. Like, are you working on anything else, or are you just touring right now?
Yeah, I already wrote the next album. The follow up is already done. I kind of finished it as we were launching this one in April. So the next 14 songs are already done and recorded. So whenever we decide to release that, it's ready to go.
That's amazing. I cannot wait. And congratulations again for 78. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I love that. So how can people follow you and your story and your tour?
Yeah, so orphanprodigy.com, that's kind of our hub. That's where you can find all the socials. We're on, like I said before, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, anywhere you can buy digital music, we're there. Chances are we're on that platform. So yeah, orphanprodigy.com is your best bet to find kind of everything. in one place.
Will do, will do. Oh, and one last thing. A lot of young artists listen to this podcast, and I know you struggle with mental health. Do you have any advice for those of them listening that struggle with mental health too?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've learned from my experience is to listen to the yes voices and not the no voices, because the no voices are always going to be predominant, I think, and you're always going to be scared before you're confident. I think there's always going to be doubt before there's confidence, unless you have no empathy or something. But I think for most people, most people are very decent and hold a lot of empathy for others and are good people. And I think the best thing to do is push through it, because you will be surprised what you'll find on the other side of the fence.
That's beautiful. And you're a walking example of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you're doing great. And I can't wait to see what else you guys do. And how long is your tour going on for?
It's kind of indefinite at this point. I mean, we're we're doing a show right after we wrap up here.
Really?
Yeah, I'm doing an acoustic thing, which I'm kind of nervous about because it's kind of stripped down. But we'll see. So I gotta hopefully nail those high notes in Trader. So so we'll see.
Well, if you make your way down to Atlanta, Georgia, let me know and I will come see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm sure everyone's going to love this episode.
Thanks for having me.
Wow, this one's going to sit with me for a while. There's something sacred about hearing an artist take their hardest seasons, the isolation, the rejection, the inner chaos, and turn it into something beautiful. That's what Orphan Prodigy is doing, and I think we could all take a page out of his book. Here's what I want you to leave with. First, music isn't just something we create. It's something that can carry us when we can't carry ourselves. When Ian talked about going through 6 months of agoraphobia, when even walking outside felt impossible, I felt the weight of that. I know some of you listening have been there or are there right now, and to hear someone come through that and still say, I'm here, I'm still creating, I'm still dreaming, that's powerful. That is hope in real time. Sometimes music isn't just what we do, it's what saves us. It gives shape to feelings we can't say out loud. It helps us survive the things we never thought we'd get through. Ian didn't just write about healing. He healed while writing. I know I've turned to music for healing and to process emotions. Honestly, that's really what led me to create music in the first place. To me, writing that song allows the overpowering emotions to leave me and live in the song instead. And it always feels like a weight has been lifted off of my chest. So if you are feeling those strong emotions, don't shy away from the pen. Don't hide from your instrument. Let those tools help you. Second, the fear doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means you're still human. Ian said something that hit me really hard. You're always going to be scared before you're confident. And yes, 1,000 times yes. We think courage feels good, but most of the time it feels terrifying. It feels like showing up when your hands are shaking, or it feels like performing when the anxiety hasn't let go of your chest. It feels like pressing upload with a lump in your throat. Because what if you fail? What if people laugh? What if it all falls apart? But that's the stuff that builds you. That's how you grow stronger, not by skipping the hard parts, but by walking through them, one breath, one beat at a time. And that fear, it's holding you back and keeping you from growing and becoming the person that you could be. So let it go. Let the words wash over you instead of latching onto you. If you keep listening to those small voices, it'll be easier to give up and be overwhelmed by them. But if you listen to those yeses instead of those nos, that courage instead of that fear, guess what? It'll be easier to stand up, to grow that strength, to grow that confidence. So if you're someone who battles with anxiety, depression, rejection, or just that constant inner voice that says, you're not enough, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are not broken. You are becoming. And music, it's not just your outlet, it's your mirror, your medicine, your reminder that you're still here. So keep showing up, even when it's hard. You never know where a simple act of courage could take you. To follow Orphan Prodigy's journey, head to orphanprodigy.com and stream his debut album, Medication for a Modern World. It's more than a record, it's a story of survival, reinvention, and reclaiming your voice. And if you want to hear more stories like this, explore my music, or read my music blog, you can find all of that and more at Tzayla.com. That's Tzayla.com, Tzayla.com. If this episode helped you feel less alone, share it, like it, subscribe, or just take a deep breath and remind yourself you're allowed to struggle. You're allowed to be in progress, and you're allowed to keep creating even before you fully healed, because healing is not the end of the road. It's a part of the journey. And you, my friend, are right on time. So keep dreaming big. I'm Tzayla, and adventure sounds like this.